Hi there, Lee Thurburn with you again for Livestream.com. And as I am clicking on and getting things going, it looks like we're dropping our connection to LinkedIn yet again. So I don't know exactly what to do about that other than I'll keep clicking a couple of times and whoops, not quite there yet. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and let it, we're going to go ahead and stream without going to LinkedIn. And I'll just do what I normally do when this happens, which is I will grab the recording, cut it into pieces, put it on LinkedIn so you'll have it shortly. So today we're going to have I think, a fairly interesting conversation. We're going to be continuing the conversation about the 3 generic strategies, but today our focus is going to be on how to improve the results of your strategy implementation when you use a combination of strategies, rather than focusing on a single select generic strategy. Before we do that, I want to take just a moment and tell you about something that I get a big kick out of every couple of weeks. And that is a friend of mine named Dan Nelson, who is a genealogist. Now, Dan is, in addition to being a genealogist, a master storyteller. The guy's, some people just have a knack for great stories. Dan is one of these people. And every 2 weeks, he sends out a newsletter that carries a variety of historical kind of anecdotes and facts and stories. And I really get a kick out of watching for his newsletter and reading it. It's one of the few I really, truly look forward to. If you like history, if you're just a fan of historical stuff, if you like interesting trivia facts and interesting stories about people from history, you want to get Dan's newsletter. So go to livestreamlee.com and click on the Dan Nelson link. And subscribe to his newsletter. You can always unsubscribe. Dan will send you a copy every couple of weeks. I think you're going to find it a fun read. So do that. Get that newsletter. I think you'll enjoy it. All right. So I also want to say, if you have not yet joined the Livestream Lee community, please do so. There's a couple of benefits that you get from this. One is you get this awesome technical tool. This called Apricot Rocket, which is It's a digital marketing suite of tools that every business needs to have. If you don't have it, you need it. If you don't have, it's a database marketing tool. It's an email tool. It's a text messaging tool. It's a lead generation tool. And regarding lead generation, let me say, if you create an account which is free, not only do you get access to the content that I talk about here on Livestream Lee. Sometimes I make spreadsheets and things like that available to you, which are on the system. You can get them for free. But you also can tell us about your business and tell us about the services you offer, and we'll do what we can to find people that we can send to you that are looking for the kinds of services you offer. So it's a great deal, and I highly encourage you to take advantage of it. Go to livestreamlee.com and click on the Join My Community button. All right, let's first, before we get started, I have something I want to bring up that I think you're going to find interesting. I'm putting a link here on the down below me. For those of you that are wondering, how do I get a piece of all this money that the government's giving away? First of all, I'll say blanket, I don't agree with giving money away like the government's doing. But I do agree with this. If they're going to give it away, get your share, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but if the government's going to give money away, then as small business owners, we should get our share. And so there is some updated rules about the economic injury disaster loans. Now, the PPP, Payroll Protection Program loans, and the economic injury disaster loans have both been modified several times in the last several months. But as of a couple of days ago, as of this week, there were new regulations promulgated regarding the SBA's EIDL program. And if you are a small business, there is money there for you. I highly recommend that you get with your CPA and you talk to them about getting your business on the program. Go ahead and get you some small business loan money, EIDL money. If you've had one in the past, they've increased the amount of money that you can get to $500,000. And so there are people out there getting loans for incredibly large amounts of money. They have extremely long repayment terms, 30 years. The interest rate is tremendously low, and it is as close to free money as you're going to get. Now, just as a point of reference, for example, if you had a $35,000 loan, your monthly payments for 30 years would be $170 a month. Now, let me put this into perspective. That's 30 years. I used to have a Quiznos 21 years ago, and we sold a sandwich, an Italian classic 8-inch sub sandwich for $1.99. That same sandwich today, 21 years later, $7, $6.49 to $6.75. Let's just say $7. It is 3.5 times more expensive. Now, has the sandwich become more valuable? No. It's a real simple thing. The dollar is worth less. And if the dollar is worth less over the last 20 years to the tune of about 1/3 of what it used to be worth, imagine over the next 30 years, you're going to be paying back a loan with dollars that are going to be much, much easier for you to get. So bottom line, go get some money, go to the, see if you qualify, talk to your accountant. And if you do, go ahead and get in on this second round of EIDL loan. You can simply send information to this address. Now, if you, I'd Google this and get some instructions off of Google, but bottom line, it boils down to is if you've had a loan before, you can send them your loan information and just say, I want another one. And they're going to send you some money. So if you haven't done that, get in on it. The getting's good. Get it while the getting's good. All right, now let's go ahead and switch back to our conversation about combination strategies. So actually, I need to go grab a different slide. I don't need a slide. I'm just going to tell you. There are 3 generic strategies. I actually thought I had a slide up for this, but I don't. There are 3 generic strategies that exist for businesses. The first is overall low cost. The second is differentiation. And the third is focus. Okay, so those are the 3 generic strategies. All business strategies fall into one of those 3 generic strategies, or they fall into a combination of one of those strategies. Now, I'm going to share some data with you that is the result of let me go ahead and take this slide down. I'm going to share some data with you that is the result of a study of 715 businesses. And basically, the study was trying to determine which strategy is the best strategy. And there's some interesting information that comes out of it. So first of all, the study compared a pure overall cost leadership versus a pure differentiation versus a pure focus against a combination strategy and against a strategy that is companies that have no strategy. And it looked at 3 different factors. What kind of return on investment did the companies receive? What kind of sales growth rate did the companies receive? And what kind of market share growth rate did the companies receive? And they found the following, and this is really interesting. Companies that had a combination strategy of differentiation and overall cost leadership, almost twice as good return on investment, 199%. So that's almost a 2 times better return on investment than companies that had no strategy. And the companies that had a combination differentiation and cost strategy had almost 8% better return on investment on average than companies that had a differentiation only strategy. So the differentiation only strategy was the pure play strategy that had the highest return on investment for a pure play strategy. But a combination of differentiation and overall low cost actually beat a pure play differentiation strategy by about 8%. So that's an interesting data point, because return on investment basically means what kind of value how fast, what's the value growth? How fast did the value that you got out of the business when you invested in the business, how good of a return did you get? Now, when you look at just sales growth, how fast did the sales growth you get a slightly different picture. Sales growth was fastest with a combination focus and low cost or overall cost advantage strategy, overall low cost strategy. You got 143%, which is almost a 50% faster sales growth rate than companies with no strategy. And the next fastest strategy for sales growth was a combination focus differentiation strategy. And you beat the focus differentiation strategy by 6.7% when you had a focus and overall low cost combination strategy. When you talk about gaining market share, which is obviously a little different sort of focus, you get exactly the same 143% improvement over companies that have no strategy. And you get a 3.3% better return, or better result than companies that have a combination differentiation focus strategy. So what this tells us is that pretty clearly a differentiation cost would be the best strategy to be able to implement, and then the focus and cost combination strategy would be the best. Now, of all of these, low cost is part of always being the best. So what that just tells us is that consumers and businesses on both are focused on low cost. Consumers find cost a powerful driving factor in their decision as to what to buy. And differentiation is, generally speaking, also a very highly sought after thing. And remember that differentiation has a tendency to mean premium quality, higher quality, unique products and services. And we live in a world, even though we've gone through a period of the pandemic, we live in a world, generally speaking, where the affluence levels are extremely high relative to what they ever have been in the past. And so while cost is important, it's important not as much, it's also differentiation is important. So these are some statistical points that I kind of wanted to bring out. Now, I also want to look at the overall focus strategy. The overall focus strategy is one of the three primary strategies. Remember, again, it's overall low cost and it's differentiation along with focus. Now, focus has a tendency to be paired with either differentiation or cost containment. And so the overall focus strategy really requires that you add one of those other two elements in. The overall focus strategy is a solid defense against most of the five forces due to the fact that when you focus on a highly specialized niche part of the market, you're going to be able to generally have higher margins, and you're going to have a more specialized product service that's going to fit with and be differentiated in that niche part of the market. So focus can be used to select niches that have the least vulnerability to substitutes, because you're highly focused on a specific solution to a specific problem with a specific segment of the market. And if you can be the best solution, then you don't need to be as worried about substitutes, which also means that you're going to have the ability to protect your margins. And if you are able to carve out a solid position in that highly specific niche, you're going to be better protected against the threat of competitors, and you're going to be the strongest competitor. it looks like okay. I already have clicked go live. LinkedIn. Oh, I'm getting a message from LinkedIn that's confusing me here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click remove. Yes, go ahead and remove the destination. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting a bunch of, I'll just click save changes. All right. So my studio software was sending me a sequence of messages related to the stream to LinkedIn. I'll probably just cut this out. Unless, of course, you're on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter where you're already seeing the live stream, in which case I won't cut it out because it's already streaming live. All right, so let's now look at some of the pitfalls of a focus strategy. And the pitfalls, there's just really a couple of them. First is your benefit, your advantage gained from a focus strategy. And of course, all strategies are designed to provide you with a competitive advantage. Your advantage gained from a focus strategy will typically be fleeting if your cost advantage is eroded. And a great example of this is the University of Phoenix. The University of Phoenix was probably the dominant player in the online education, university education in that space for quite a few years because they were the first to get into the market and they established a solid brand reputation. But a couple of things happened. The big one is a couple of years ago, the federal government changed how they reimbursed online universities. They tightened it up because there was so much abuse going on. So many students were getting degrees that were fundamentally worthless, and they were incurring huge amounts of federal debt, student loan debt. And the universities, the online universities, were getting rich off of federal money, paying for education that was pretty much a worthless education. Well, this had the effect of essentially yanking the rug out from underneath the University of Phoenix. So they had a structure where their source of funding was jerked out from underneath them, and their cost advantage also was eroded. And their cost advantage was eroded largely because you had major universities like Stanford and Harvard and MIT and others that decided to get into the distance or online learning game. And when you have a choice of learning directly from Harvard or MIT or Stanford as opposed to some University of Phoenix that is only online, who are you going to choose? Well, you're going to choose MIT or Harvard, right? And so the competition got into the game, and the cost advantage that the University of Phoenix held was eroded, along with their funding source was kind of removed, taken out from underneath them. Another problem with the focus strategy is if you choose a really small niche, there's just simply not enough market there for you to grow into and grow a significant business that can achieve economies of scale. And you almost always want to try to achieve economies of scale of some sort in your business, because that is a powerful protection against new entrants coming into the business. Okay, so let's talk about combination strategies. The best combination strategy is a combination of the low cost and differentiation, the overall low cost and differentiation strategies. These give you two significant values that you can rely upon. Number one, you have the ability to have a highly differentiated product, which means you can protect your margins better. And highly differentiated products have a tendency to have higher margins because of the differentiation. They become more valuable and more difficult to copy or emulate or somehow in some fashion compete with. The other thing is that if you have an overall cost advantage, you're typically operating at a scale that allows you to have the lowest cost of production, which has two benefits. Number one, you have bigger margins because you have lower costs. But number two, if some competitor does come into the market, you have the option of engaging in a price battle with them where you lower your prices and they lower their prices. Well, if your costs are lower, you can go lower on your prices to the point where they simply cannot match you, and you can basically run them out of business. And this is a common benefit of having a company that has tremendous economies of scale, is it gives you a cost competitive advantage that allows you to engage in price competition if needed. Now, you don't want to do that. You want to keep your margins high, so keep your prices high. And if you can, you want to avoid price competition. But if you get caught in a price competition battle, having a low cost is, of course, a powerful advantage. Now, if you also have superior quality, that can lead to significantly lower costs for a variety of reasons. One of them is that when you have a higher quality product and you focus more attention on quality in your manufacturing, you have less need for rework. You have less scrap. You have you just have a more efficient process. You also have lowered, reduced warranty claims. If you send to the consumer a higher quality product, fewer of them need after the sale service and after the sale repairs, and all of the attendant customer service costs and customer service issues and customer service personnel and repairs and the freight to bring things back. All of that stuff is gone when you have a higher quality product. And so it truly makes sense to invest in producing the highest quality product. Now, the challenge is, how do you do that at scale? And that is where the strategy comes in. Now, I'm not saying you can just wave a wand and implement a combination, highly differentiated and low cost, but there are ways to accomplish that. And in today's world, with the technologies that we have, some of the things that allow you to obtain these kinds of differentiation and cost benefits are things like mass customization, data analytics, and profit pool harvesting. Well, what do these mean? Okay, well, mass customization is a function of a couple of different things you see going on. For the last 20 years or so, computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing has been a significant growth area. And one of the areas of growth that the United States has excelled in, creating computer-aided design software and computer-aided manufacturing, where you connect machine tools that are computer-controlled machine tools to CAD/CAM software to facilitate the efficient production of highly specific parts with close tolerances. In other words, really high quality, finely machined parts. That's an area that the United States has really been a strong producer in. And now with 3D printing gaining tremendous capabilities, it's been around, of course, for the better part of 10 years. But over the last 5 years, full production size 3D printing capabilities with complex technologies for materials, metals and things like that have advanced to the point now where you can make some pretty terrific, highly engineered metallic parts and complex plastic parts with 3D printing. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that if you have a factory with a bunch of 3D printers set up, you can mass customize for your market. There are examples like of Andersen windows. Now, Andersen, I don't think 3D prints their windows, but they tied a computer ordering system about 15 years ago. They used to use catalogs, and they basically reinvented their ordering process and made it fully computerized. And that allowed them to expand the options that they offer and at the same time reduce their costs and improve their quality. Because when a custom designed window is needed for a home builder or somebody that's putting a new window in a home, they can do the measurements, either the contractor can or the homeowner, whoever's the appropriate. They can do the measurements. They can go to Andersen or an Andersen dealer. They can have a very specifically designed window mass produced just like Andersen would produce any other window. So it's highly customized. The cost is low and the time to delivery is reduced. So you just get the best of all worlds. The customer gets exactly what they want, a custom product, customized specifically for their need, designed specifically for their purpose, and built specifically for them. But they get the benefit of mass production benefits. It's a wonderful world. Data analytics is another aspect of sort of the same thing. We live in a world now where we have the ability to match very detailed profiles of our customers financial data associated with them. So we have the ability to do really deep level investigations of who our target audience is. So we can look into our existing sales, and we can look into the marketplace in general and highly specifically define what our most desirable customers look like. Most desirable customers are the ones that spend the most. They allow us to make the highest margins. They are the most pleasant to deal with. So what do these customers look like? Well, we have the ability through mass data, they call it big data, it's data analytics, to really finely hone our marketing now. And then, of course, profit pool harvesting. Profit pool harvesting basically means looking downstream and upstream. Look behind you at your suppliers and look forward at the distribution network and see where, for the end customer, the final user, see where the deepest margins in the profit in the value chain occur, and then go acquire or integrate those value chain steps into your manufacturing or your general processes, so that you harvest the margins that some other company might currently be harvesting. Profit pool harvesting is a powerful way for you to be able to grow the profitability of your business without having to, necessarily spend a lot of money. It just basically, you can acquire businesses where there's a lot of profit. That's backward integration. So when you look at low cost and differentiation as a combination strategy, and you look at it in the context of Porter's 5 forces, one of the big benefits that you get is enormous bargaining power. And this is going to be due to the larger size of the enterprise that you have. And because you've built a larger enterprise with a combination of low cost, overall low cost and differentiation, you are going to be less subject to the bargaining power of your supplier. Not only can you provide a great price and a competitive price, but a highly customized, valuable product to your supplier, or to your customer, but you can build a better relationship with the customer, which makes it less likely the customer will move from you. So the stronger your brand bond and relationship is with your customer, the less likely they are to switch to a competitor. And so, among other things, this reduces the threat of new entrants. Not only do you have a better relationship, which reduces the threat, but you have better information about the customer, and you have already achieved economies of scale and the ability to deliver a highly differentiated product, which is an expensive proposition for new entrants, new competitors to gear up and compete with you. It increases your barriers to their entry into your market, where they could take a portion of the high margins that you're able to generate by virtue of this combination position that you've got. So that gives you a little bit of a perspective on the fundamental value of the combination low cost, overall low cost and differentiation strategies combined. Before I move on, I want to talk to you about an important topic for businesses. And I'm going to tell you right now, what you don't know is going to be the thing that's going to get you. It's going to be the thing that's going to take your business out. It's going to be the thing that's going to cost you the most money. And the problem is you don't even know what you don't know. And that's where specialists like Carlos Cantu come in. Carlos is in the business of knowing what you don't know. And when I say that, I'm talking about specifically risks that you're not familiar with. And this means that there are all kinds of risks out there, the risks of lawsuits, the risks of regulatory infringements, there's the risks of natural disasters, there's all kinds of risks that you can protect yourself from, any one of which has the potential to shut your business down and destroy the value that you've created over years and years. I highly recommend that you go to livestreamly.com and click on the Carlos Cantu button. Look, I've been talking about this guy. He's great. You need a risk management specialist in your corner, somebody that will make sure that you're protected at the highest level for the best cost, to make sure that the assets you're building for your retirement are not threatened by something that you didn't even know you should be thinking about. Give Carlos a call. Go to livestreamly.com and click on the Carlos Can Too button to learn more about Carlos. All right. And then finally, go to livestreamly.com and join our community. There's lots of benefits. I hope you'll do it soon. I'll see you online. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking to Tisha Hammond about her global community that she's building. And then next week, we're going to have a fun week for you next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about funding and financing your business. It's a 4-day series, and we're going to do a deep dive into how to raise capital for your business. I hope you'll join me next week. Have a great weekend, and see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.